Have you ever looked at the New York City skyline and felt like you were seeing a story? It's not just one story. It's thousands of them, all stacked on top of each other, a layered epic of stone, steel, glass, and pure ambition. To understand New York as architecture is to understand its constant argument with time, the deep urge to preserve, the relentless hunger to replace, and the absolute need to grow upward when there's nowhere left to go. So let's peel back the layers and take a journey through the architectural soul of this incredible city. Before the skyscrapers, before the grid, before the avenues we know today, New York was a small Dutch settlement called New Amsterdam. Its buildings weren't proud, they were practical. Think of low, brick houses with stepped gables straight out of a painting from Amsterdam. Roofs were steep to shed snow, and windows were small to keep the heat in. The streets themselves followed the natural curves of the land, not some logical plan. Nothing was symmetrical because life wasn't symmetrical. Then, in 1664, the British took over and renamed it New York. The architecture began to shift. Georgian-style buildings appeared, bringing a sense of order. Facades became balanced, windows were arranged neatly, and brick walls were trimmed with clean, white wood. For a very long time, the highest points in the city weren't office buildings, they were church steeples. Trinity Church, for example, was the original skyline. At this stage, New York was a walking city. Buildings were only a few stories high. Why build taller? Land was everywhere. But that wasn't going to last. In 1811, New York made one of the most audacious and influential architectural decisions in history, the Commissioner's Plan. It was a radical idea. The entire island of Manhattan was flattened onto a grid. No more gentle curves. No more respect for hills or streams. Streets and avenues marched north and straight, unwavering lines, completely indifferent to nature. This grid changed everything. Buildings no longer had to respond to the landscape. They had to respond to real estate. The row house became the dominant style, long, narrow homes, stacked side by side, sharing walls to save space. Federal and Greek Revival styles flourished, with grand columns, perfect symmetry, and clean proportions. You can still see traces of this era in neighborhoods like Greenwich Village and parts of Harlem. The city was growing incredibly fast, but it was still spreading outward, not yet climbing upward. Then came the Industrial Revolution, and with it, new materials that would change the game. The star of the show was cast iron. It allowed buildings to be taller, lighter, and much faster to construct. Entire facades could be prefabricated in a factory, shipped to the site, and simply bolted together. Neighborhoods like Soho became showcases for this new technology with their ornate, repetitive, and surprisingly modern-looking buildings. And then came the invention that truly unlocked the sky, the elevator. Suddenly, height wasn't just possible, it was profitable. The late 1800s saw the birth of New York's very first skyscrapers. Early icons like the Flatiron Building were architectural rebels, defying traditional shapes to squeeze incredible verticality onto awkward, triangular plots of land. Architectural styles competed fiercely. You had the Beaux Arts style, with its grand staircases and classical drama. You had Gothic Revival, reaching for the heavens with pointed arches. And you had Romanesque Revival, favoring heavy stone and powerful. Rounded forms, every new building wanted to be taller, bolder. And more impressive than the last, New York was no longer just growing, it was climbing. The years between 1900 and the 1930s were New York's architectural golden age. Steel frames made extreme height a reality. New zoning laws required buildings to step back as they got taller, which created the iconic wedding cake skyscraper shape that defines so much of the city. Architecture became pure theater. The Chrysler Building rose like a metallic Art Deco rocket ornamental, optimistic, and unapologetically futuristic. Then came the Empire State Building, built in just over a year during the depths of the Great Depression. It wasn't just a building, it was a defiant statement that New York would not slow down, no matter what. Art Deco was the language of the skyline, with its clean lines, geometric patterns, and sunburst motifs. Buildings looked like they were in motion, perpetually soaring upward. This era truly believed that architecture could be the physical expression of progress itself. But then, the world changed. After World War II, ornamentation fell out of favor. The new ideal was efficiency. A new wave of modernist architects rejected decoration entirely, inspired by European movements like the Bauhaus. They built with glass, steel, and right angles. Buildings became transparent, minimal, and rational boxes. The most famous and influential example is the Seagram building. Its bronze and glass facade was simple, elegant, and revolutionary. It didn't shout for attention. It stood apart through its sheer restraint. At the same time, this era saw aggressive urban renewal projects. Figures like Robert Moses transformed the city with highways, housing projects, and corporate towers, often demolishing entire neighborhoods in the process. Architecture was no longer just about beauty. It was about power. By the 1970s, people were getting tired of all the glass boxes. A new movement, postmodernism, brought back color, symbolism, and historical references, sometimes playfully, sometimes controversially. Buildings could have personality again. They could tell jokes. They could reference the past without just copying it. This was also a time when New York City nearly went bankrupt. Construction slowed to a crawl, and abandoned buildings became a common sight. But out of this decay came a new idea: adaptive reuse. Old factories in Soho were turned into spacious lofts. Houses in Tribeca became art galleries. Architecture became less about building brand new monuments and more about reinvention. So where are we today? The 21st century New York skyline is a product of technology, global wealth, and sheer star power. Super tall, pencil-thin residential towers now rise a long billionaire's row, seemingly defying gravity. Glass is everywhere, making buildings that reflect the city instead of just standing in it. Architects from all over the world compete to leave their mark. One World Trade Center stands as a powerful symbol of resilience. The High Line brilliantly transformed an old elevated railway into a stunning public park, and sculptural works like the Vessel spark intense debate about the very purpose and meaning of public art. Today's New York architecture is defined by contrast. Historic brownstones nestled right beside hyper-modern glass towers, fierce preservation battles happening alongside relentless new development. The city no longer asks, can we build it? The question now is, should we? New York has never been finished, and it never will be. Its architecture isn't one single style. It's a conversation that has been going on for centuries. It's a debate between ambition and restraint, memory and progress, permanence and constant change. Every building is a chapter in that story. Every shift in the skyline is a new argument. And every generation leaves behind a version of the city it believed in. New York doesn't just build upward. It builds on top of itself, creating a city that is always and forever under construction. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this journey through New York's architectural history, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell for more stories about the world we've built around us. See you next time.